Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to the new video. I'm the Casual Racing Gamer, and today I am making the controversial decision to go back to my Thrustmaster T-GT II from the T598. I know there's going to be a lot of different opinions about this, and that is awesome. That's why we have a community here. So definitely feel free to leave your opinions down below in the comments. But this video is going to be based on my experience, the type of driver that I am, also the wheel being used in GT7 primarily. Obviously, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. So I just wanted to let people know, what wheel I'll be using in my, future videos for now, being that, I was using a T598. Now you'll see the T-GT II again, and I'm sure people will have questions about that. So I figured, let me just do a video on it and explain why I'm making that choice. Now, the T598 brand new Thrustmaster direct drive wheel, and is coming in at a really good price. So let's first talk about what that wheel offers. Now, it offers a nice smooth experience. The wheel is extremely smooth, and I'm not going to argue that point that anyone any of the reviews that you guys have seen said the wheel is smooth. I totally agree with that. My issue with the wheel for me is that it feels very light entering and exiting for me. From a turn, I'm not getting a good grasp of what my tires are doing. Now, does the wheel react fast? We know the wheel reacts fast. That's the advantage of direct drive, right? Because it's directly connected. So everything is going to react fast as opposed to a belt driven wheel. Now, I'm not afraid to go back to older technology. Of course, direct drive technology is the future right now, is definitely better than what belt drive can do and offer, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be better for everybody depending on what you're looking to do and what you're looking to get out of your wheel. Now, the settings that I use on the T598, I'll list it down in the description because a lot of people always question, what are your settings? And my settings are completely pumped up. Everything is at the max. It was using Thrustmaster's recommended settings. And to get a little more weight into the wheel, I did mess with the friction setting as well as the damper setting. I've turned everything up high. I've ran the damper through 0 to 100. Now the friction setting will definitely add a little more weight to the wheel, but I still struggle to feel what my tires are doing. Especially when when entering and exiting. I'm not driving based on what I feel the car is doing. I'm driving based on what I know I should be doing with my throttle and brake, if that makes sense. On the T-GT II, again, a belt-driven wheel. I've used this wheel for probably like a year and a half now. I have never had a complaint about it. I was just, for me, it was interesting to go to direct drive as an upgrade path. But the T-GT II offers a lot of resistance. And it's not that it's a Newton meter resistance. It's that you can definitely feel your grip and your tires very well. And when you lose that grip, it is extremely obvious. The difference between grip and losing it it feeds right into the wheel very well for me. For the type of driver that I am, not the greatest sim. I'm just a casual sim racer, right? So that feeling to me really helps me a lot. Now, it doesn't mean I can be faster on the T-GT II over the T598. It just means that for me, the feeling of it just helps me a little bit better, and it makes me feel a little more comfortable and a little more confident when I'm driving. Also, with the transducer that's in the T-GT II, I know in the last update in GT7, people have said, it feels like the transducer, the vibration level lowered. And even if that's the case, I never knew how much your grip and what your car was doing actually comes through the transducer. Like when you're ripping, when you're entering a turn and then you start hitting that throttle, like you feel the difference in the transducer. Like the feeling based on the vibrations in your pedals if you have grip. So everything's really working together in GT7 to give you this great feeling and experience. Now, that might not be for everybody. People might feel like a direct drive feels more authentic to them, feels more like the looseness is more related to the car than like a belt drive, because I think the belt itself offers a certain amount of resistance that direct drive just doesn't give you that because it doesn't need to. Like the belt has to get through that first level of resistance before it can actually start feeding you stuff. So I think you just feel that resistance more. It's a lot harder to turn a wheel. Now, I was running my T-GT II on like a torque setting of like 4, and that's still a lot of power driving like a Group 4 car. where I was running my T598 with a torque, and I played around with the torque levels all the way up to like around from like 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 8. And there's just no comparison in the power level of resistance between the two wheels. Is a T598 a good choice for you? It's going to be a great choice for a lot of people. And I also think when they offer more compatibility with GT7, it might improve. Now, I know people are saying, you know, it's not fully compatible yet and it will improve. Yes, we are hoping it will improve. Now, the feeling that I want of that resistance that I get and that the tire feeling for me knowing what my car is doing, is that going to improve? I hope so. I can't guarantee it. I don't know. I was hoping that, you know, it would be fully compatible at release with GT7. You know, currently you can't pick a T598 in GT7. Is it an upgrade for like lower quality wheels? 100%. Is it an upgrade for like a T-GT II? You know, that's going to be a decision you're going to have to make. If other people made this move, please leave your comments down below. Because again, this is just my opinion, and my opinion isn't right or wrong. The T598 is a great wheel. A lot of people are going to love the wheel. You know, it offers all your settings within the base itself, which I think is great. It offers the quick release, which I think is great. And, you know, it offers a lot of things that you can tinker with, which is going to help you directly within the wheel. You don't have to go on a computer and have to mess with settings like that. You can just do it directly in the wheel. Comes with a screen. And I do want to address this one thing last is, you know, a lot of people comments I've seen is how the T598 feels cheap and it looks cheap and it's plastic cheap. I'm going to disagree with that 100%. The T598 base is actually extremely heavy. It feels extremely good quality wise. And if you actually were able to hold it or actually feel it in your hands yourself, there's no way you would call it cheap feeling. It is an extremely heavy base, and anyone who's calling it cheap has never touched it or looked at it. So I know, because once you actually put that thing in your hand, the thing is substantial and it definitely has a nice quality, heavy feel to it. Now, just because I'm going back to my T-GT II now does not mean I'm not going to go back to the T598. I'm definitely going to put the T598 back on the wheel stand again in the future, especially when I see more compatibility with GT7. You know, I did also try it in iRacing. It feels better in iRacing, but there's just something about my T-GT II that I really like, and I like the strong force feedback. And we know that the T598 does have overshoot to 10 Newton meters, but I'm more interested in the constant torque that's available, not just the overshooting in certain instances. So for me, that constant feeling of grip, the constant feeling of resistance that I feel on the T-GT II is just something I enjoy the experience of. There's going to be a lot of great sim races out there that I can tell you, don't ever buy a belt-driven wheel. Don't be afraid to like something that necessarily isn't supposed to be the best out there. So that's just my opinion, guys. I really am open to hear what you have to say. If you guys tell me that the T-GT II is terrible and you've gone from the T-GT II to the T598 and you love it, I can totally understand. I want you guys to leave those comments down below, because I want other people to read those comments, because I don't want them to just go with what I'm telling you. I just wanted, you know, to just tell you why you might see the T-GT II in my future videos. So I just wanted to explain it a little bit in that sense. But, you know, thumb up the video, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and you know, I'm gonna be interested in going back to the T598 as Thrustmaster and GT7 update the compatibility with the wheel. Now, just be nice down there, guys, in those comment sections, and we'll catch you on the next one. We out of here. Peace.